Hello everybody, and welcome back to Certified Collectibles. This is another episode of First Appearance of the Week. This is Wednesday, May 1st, 2024. We'll be giving you all the first appearance hidden in comic shops today. Now this week we have a pretty good lineup for you guys. I think we have 3 first appearances, 3 honorable mentions, so 6 titles on to go through. Definitely some books in there worth picking up for your collection. So let's go ahead and get started for the first appearance of the week ending May 3rd, 2024. First up from Marvel Comics, Blood Hunt number 1. This features the first team appearance of Blood Coven. This is Smoke Eater, Bloodstorm 1, Damascene, Megrim, Cruel, and Unusual. Now this is a 5-issue event featuring the Marvel Universe versus vampires. Now Marvel's been hyping this title for months. There's been a lot of buzz about this title, and this here is the premiere issue of this series, and it does feature the first team appearance of Blood Coven. Now, like we always say with Marvel Comics, it's typically worth picking up first appearances in the Marvel titles. You really don't know what Marvel or Disney have planned for any of these teams, any of these characters they're introducing in the comics. If they hit the screen, whether it's big or small screen, collectors will race back to the comics and try to find these first appearances. Now this here will be a little bit more speculative because you are speculating on Marvel or Disney doing something with this particular team they're introducing in this comic. But you know, Marvel Disney is still a cinematic powerhouse. They churn out a ton of media. So in our opinion, the risk is worth the reward on this one. So grab this one here for your collection. Next up from Marvel Comics, Deadpool Wolverine World War III number 1. This features the first cameo appearance of Delta, a villain who will potentially trigger a war. This issue also introduces Wade Wilson III. Now, like we just mentioned a moment ago, typically always worth picking up the first appearance of new characters in Marvel titles. And this Deadpool Wolverine series here, this is going to be popular with fans. You know, there's huge anticipation for that Deadpool Wolverine movie. So we do think this particular title series will be popular with fans. And this issue does feature this first cameo appearance of Delta. We mentioned this before, cameo appearances aren't necessarily as heavily collected or sought after as first full appearances, but this issue does have the first cameo appearance of Delta. This here is the premiere issue of this title series, and this does feature Deadpool and Wolverine, 2 fan favorites. So another one we think is a great pickup. Grab this one here for your collection. And finally from Marvel Comics, Spider-Woman number 7. This features the first full team appearance of the Assembly. This is Titan, Cadet Marvel, Hellrune, Moonsquire, and Liberty. Now the Spider-Woman title series, this is not one of Marvel's stronger or more heavily collected title series. This particular issue does feature the first full team appearance of the Assembly, but like I said, Spider-Woman title series, not all that heavily collected. There's not a humongous fan base for Spider-Woman, but you know, she is part of the Spider-Man universe, and the Spider-Man universe is heavily collected. Probably the biggest franchise for Marvel Comics, but the fact that this here is the Spider-Woman series, probably not going to be as heavily collected. Like we always mention with the first appearance of Marvel Comics, the risk is typically worth the reward on these. But like I said, this one here is going to be more speculative. So grab this one here for a spec if you can. If you can't though, put it in your B-list and take a look at it later on. And now for the honorable mentions. From Image Comics, Bear Pirate Viking Queen number 1. Bears, pirates, Vikings, and queens battle for their claim to determine what the world will become. Now, Image Comics has had a lot of their titles picked up in option for small screen and big screen projects in the past, and you know, they do have a track record for getting a lot of their titles optioned. This one here, this Bear Pirate Viking Queen, this one here does sound quirky enough to get attention, so this one here may be a great spec. You are specking on this getting picked up in option, getting a lot more eyes on this, and collectors racing back to the secondary market to try to find this issue. This is one we don't think is going to be heavily collected when it hits the shelf. So once again, if this does get optioned and picked up later on, there's not going to be a lot of copies out there. So if you're going to get this, you do want to get it at the cover price. You don't want to chase it down years later for a lot more money. So this one here, in our opinion, is a great spec. Grab this one here for a spec if you can. If you can't, put in your B-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from Distillery, The Blood Brothers Mother number 1. This is a Western tale about 3 brothers who seek out their mother and the men who took her away from them. Now, Distillery hasn't had a lot of their titles picked up in option for small screen and big screen projects in the past, and that is a big price driver for these small press and indie publishers. That being said, though, they are getting a lot of attention on their titles recently. So if their titles do start hitting the screen, or if they do start getting option, you know, Hollywood will go back to their back catalog and try to find some other titles as well. Now this one here will definitely be speculative if you choose to pick it up. You are specking on this getting picked up in option, pushing the price higher. So grab this one here for a spec if you can. If you can't, put in your B-list and take a look at it later on. And finally from Dynamite, Space Ghost number 1. This is the premiere issue of the new Space Ghost series published by Dynamite. Now, Dynamite has had huge success recently with some of these nostalgia brands. Just look at Thundercats. Thundercats, I think issue number 1 had a print run of 170,000. And issue number 1 is still trading high on the secondary market. So some of these titles, even with high print runs, you know, these are going to strike a nostalgia chord with some collectors. Now, Space Ghost, that was a big deal in some people's childhood. Like I said, not as big as, say, Thundercats was, but still, Huge recognizable franchise, and this here is a premiere issue of this new series. In our opinion, this here is a great pickup. For the cover price, if this goes big, you're sitting on a winner for a couple $. If it goes nowhere, you're out a few bucks. But these nostalgia covers, like I said, these are definitely worth owning for the cover price in our opinion. So grab this one here for your collection. So there you have the 6 titles that we have for you guys this week. There's definitely some books in there worth picking up for your collection. So please feel free to drop some comments in the comment section below. Thumbs up if you like this video. And as always, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for joining us here at Certified Collectibles, and we'll see you again next time.